George Klein was reportedly in Northern Ireland at the time of the D-Day landings. Credit D-Day overlord Facebook. An American D-Day veteran fated as a war hero after surviving a treacherous mission to take out German guns on the Normandy cliffs has confessed at the age of 96 to having made the entire story up. For decades, George G. Klein was hailed for his part in a fierce battle with the Germans at the Point du Hoc on June 6, 1944, on the French coast between Omaha and Utah beaches, as a member of the elite 2nd Ranger Battalion. He recounted how he scaled the 100-foot cliffs and engaged the enemy, but late in the day was wounded by the bayonet of a German soldier, spending 2 days waiting to be evacuated from the battlefield. Of 225 Rangers who landed to take the strategically important battery, only 90 were left standing 36 hours later. The casualty rate of 68% was D-Day's highest. Mr. Klein was awarded the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart medals by the Americans and the prestigious Legion of Honor by the French for his service. Credit Facebook. Mr. Klein was awarded the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart medals by the Americans and the prestigious Legion of Honor by France. This year, the D-Day Overlord Association raised €4,000 in crowdfunding to bring him over from his home in Glenview, Illinois, where he said, "I'm not a hero. The real heroes are those who have lost life here." Describing him as one of the great celebrities of this year's anniversary, the association said he had signed hundreds of autographs and attended numerous commemorations, marking all those he met by his incredible kindness. However, weeks after his return to the U.S., Captain Klein dropped a bombshell by confessing to his family and supporters that he was nowhere near the beaches of Normandy. In fact, he was in Northern Ireland with a B Battery of his artillery regiment, 46th Field Artillery Battalion, 5th Infantry Division. D-Day 70th Anniversary Veterans Pay Final Tribute 0210. The veteran owned up after being outed, according to D-Day Overlord, by several historians, including Marty Morgan and Gary Stern, who is the owner of Maisie's Battery Museum, and who could find no trace of his presence. On August 18, their allegations were confirmed by American veterans in the same unit as George Klein, who confirmed he was with them and hadn't taken part in the fighting at the Point du Hoc. George Klein arrived in Normandy in July 1944. Mark Laurenceau, head of the Overlord D-Day Association, told local paper La Renaissance Le Bessin, "I'm in contact with his family, with whom I have become friends. They are devastated," he said. "So are we, as we believed his story. We put in a lot of effort to get to him to Normandy." Mr. Laurenceau said that Mr. Klein had got away with a subterfuge due to impeccable attention to detail about the 3 days spent fighting the Germans. Besides, his story had every reason to be plausible, as he had truly been a ranger but had broken his ankle during a climbing training during the year 1943 and had to give up any hope of remaining in this elite unit. Prince Harry attends reception for Normandy veterans 0053. He managed to explain his absence from the list of the 225 Rangers who really took part in the assault by claiming to be a supernumerary lieutenant drafted in at the last minute to replace a platoon leader. Despite his fake account, Overlord D-Day Association said George Klein should not be ashamed of his real contribution to the liberation of Europe, as he was seriously wounded in combat in the Moselle region on November 17, 1944. But the prestige of a unit like the Rangers, as well as certainly the disappointment of not having participated in a major battle of World War II even though he had risked his life on numerous occasions, have probably strengthened the temptation, it said. Trapped into a lie that shaped him in the eyes of his entourage and from which he could no longer escape, he finally resolved to tell the truth. The association said that the sad story was unfortunately not an isolated case, citing Howard Minoyan and Eugene A. Cook, Jr., unmasked in 2009 and February 2017. They both fabricated a career in American airborne troops, also participating in numerous commemorative ceremonies bearing the insignia of units to which they had not belonged.